Holy shit, they're here, guys. We got our Battlin Boxers, our Burning Knucklers, our Leadblows, our Lead Yokes, whatever you want to call them. They're here. And I couldn't be more thrilled. I do have regionals coming up on Saturday, and since I already got my invite with my Dino Fists, I was thinking of, just kind of feeling out the format with kind of a Tier 2, Tier 3 deck. And I'm likely going to go with a Tier 3 deck in the form of Gishki, Zealgigas, or maybe even Tier 3 Plus with Battlin Boxers. I haven't even decided what I'm going to do. But I'm leaning towards Battlin Boxers just because they're new, and I've been really excited to play them for a while. Now, the reason I'm showing you Battlin Boxer Lead Yoke is because he is the definitive reason why you play Battlin Boxers. If he did not exist, you would not play him. He requires 2 level 4 Battlin Boxer monsters, and when a Battlin Boxer monster or monsters would be destroyed, I can remove a material to protect that monster from destruction. This can include himself. Now, also, when a material is removed from this card, let me rephrase that. When an XYZ material is detached from this card, it gains 800 attack. So, he protects himself, he protects his buddies, and he goes up from 22 to 3k on the first detach and 3800 on the second. And that is a big ol' monster that you don't want to fuck with. And actually, in the anime, when he detaches materials, he breaks away from these chains he's got on his back. So he is the reason you play the deck. Make no two shits about it. And he is by far a staple at 3 in the deck. But luckily, since they made him rare, and he's not a generic XYZ, you can get him for, $1, or just people will probably give him to you for free. People are going to be buying the shit out of this pack trying to get the dragons, so there's going to be a lot of these guys floating around. I will say one thing though, I feel like at least one Lavaval Chain, however you want to pronounce it, is a staple in the deck, only because you can make really nice opening plays with the card, and I'll go over it with you. And then, in addition to just a regular rank 4 toolbox, which I've gone over a bunch with all your staple rank 4s, let me just kind of... this is part of my Gishki deck, so there's Gachi in there. Forget the rank 3s, but the rank 4 staples, Maestroke, Utopia, Cowboy, Abyss Dweller, Blackship of Corn. You want to play those, and then you just want to add in the warrior specific monsters and Excalibur and Blade Armor, and if you want, you can play Cestus. I can't think of any reason why you would ever really need to go into him, but he's there. So let's get to the main deck, and I know I kind of did that backwards. I went over the extra deck first, but it's because I'd already talked about Lead Yoke. We're going to start off with Glassjaw. Glassjaw lives up to his name. He's got 2,000 attack and 0 defense. He cannot take a hit. In addition, when he is targeted for an attack, he's just like, fuck this, I'm out of here, and he destroys himself anyway. So, why is he good? Well, first of all, 2,000 attack on my end is nothing to scoff at. Secondly, when he is sent to the graveyard, it's a when, not an if, so it can miss the timing. And this is by any means and from anywhere. When he's sent to the graveyard, be it from as a detach from an XYZ, destroyed by his own effect, destroyed by a dark hole, sent by Lavaval Chain, sent by Foolish Burial. When he hits the graveyard, you can target a Battlin Boxer in your graveyard, level 4 or lower. Excuse me, not level 4 or lower, any Battlin Boxer in your graveyard, and add it to your hand. So, we are running 3, and he is a staple in the deck at 3. Luckily, he's common, like all these motherfuckers. So, he is very easy to get. To go along with our Glassjaw, we have Switchitter. Switchitter is like a Debris Dragon. When I normal summon him, I can special summon a Battling Boxer from my graveyard, and if I use his effect, I can only special summon Battling Boxers for the rest of the turn. So I can't go Battling Boxer, Switchitter, special summon Glassjaw, and overlay it into Blackship of Corn, because I use his effect. What I can do is just go Switchitter, Glassjaw, Lead Yoke, Leadblow, whatever you want to call them. Conversely, if I used a Monster Reborn, I went Monster Reborn, Photon Thrasher, normal summon Switchitter, I won't be able to use this effect because I've already special summoned something that is not a Battling Boxer. It's very strict that you cannot special summon anything else before his effect is activated, anything other than Battling Boxer, and after. So just be smart with his plays. He's best buds with Glassjaw, because when Glassjaw gets sent to the graveyard, you can get your Switchitter back. When Switchitter's normal summon the next turn, you can get out his Glassjaw. They can swing for 35, or go straight into that Leadblow play that we talked about at the beginning. 3 Headgeared. For some reason they added an ED at the end, from Headgear to Headgeared. Now you can get away with running 2. I like this guy. When he's normal summoned, I can send a Battling Boxer to my graveyard. And mainly, depending on what point of the game you are in, if it's the very first turn, and you don't have any of your graveyard set up, I'll usually actually send a Switchitter, because that means as soon as I can get a Glassjaw in the graveyard, I can recruit them and they can start the loop. If I were to just send a Glassjaw, I would have to pretty much draw the Switchitter to get him out. So I'll usually send either or. If I already have a monster in my graveyard and I want to get out, I'll send Glassjaw, and Glassjaw will get that guy out by his effects. Or I'll send the Clute, like Counterpunch, Counterblow, whatever, and we'll talk about him in a second. But when he's normal summoned, he sends to the graveyard, and when he's in attack mode, up to once per turn, he can't be destroyed by battle, and he is a level 4, so it gives you some field presence to be able to come back around the next turn and make a XYZ play. You like opening with him more than anything. Next, we have 2 Spars. They added an ER to the end of this one. It was Spar, now he's Sparer. And if I control a Battling Boxer, I can special summon him from my hand. And I cannot conduct my battle phase for the rest of the turn. Now, on DevPro, how this is pretty much ruled, and that's the ruling I'm going to be going with, is that I can go, main phase 1, Switchitter, special summon Glassjaw, go attack, and then I can go, in main phase 2, I can special summon the Spar, and for the rest of the turn I can't conduct my battle phase, but I can't conduct my battle phase at that point anyway. And then I can just overlay these 2 together and have the Beast still over here and go into a Leadblow. Now, this also means that on your very first turn of the duel, you can go Headgear, send a Switchitter to the graveyard, special summon a Spar from your hand. Now you can't attack the rest of the turn, but it's your first turn, so you don't give a shit. Then you go into Lavaval Chain, detach Spar, to send Glassjaw to the graveyard. Now when Glassjaw hits the graveyard, it's the last thing that happens, so its effect activates, and you get Switchitter back to your hand, and you now have your graveyard set up pretty much for the rest of the duel. What you want is to be able to get this in hand, this in the graveyard, as soon as possible, because you're going to be able to loop with those 2, with Leadyoke, and I'll tell you how Glassjaw detaching off Leadyoke works and resolves in just a moment. So that's why Spar is useful. Next we have Counterpunch, and everyone's like, oh, well, he's like Clute, he's like Honest. He's not. He's worse. He's worse than those monsters, and that's why we're running 2 instead of 3. I can remove him from my hand or the graveyard to add 1,000 attack to a Battling Boxer to attack, but you can only use 1 per turn, and 1,000 is a good amount, but he's level 3, so he doesn't have any other cohesion with the deck. So he's good for a quick burst. You can end games with him, but at the same time, he's not. You can't go Clute, attack for gain. You can't, do anything crazy like that. So I am only playing 2 currently. I think 3 is overkill. You don't want to see him too early with nothing else. Like, I hate opening with him as my only Battling Boxer and nothing else in my hand. I'm just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So we'll go to our unthemed support, Photon Thrasher. Great first turn. If I have no cards or no monsters on my side of the field, I can special summon him, and then I can, normal summon a Battling Boxer and go into a generic rank 4 or one of the warrior XYZs. And he's just got good cohesion with the deck, so we are running 2. Next is 2 Lad. Not really. These are my stand-ins for Blaster, the Incarnate Dragon with 2800 attack. What Blaster can do is he can special summon himself from the hand or graveyard by removing 2 fire monsters from your hand or graveyard, or he can, more importantly, if I send him and a fire monster from my hand, he can destroy one card on the field, which is really what we're using him for. He can also special summon himself out into the field and be a nice 2800 beat stick for a turn before returning back to the hand. If you don't know what Blaster does, he's pretty much just a big old beat stick that has destruction built in. You can look him up. He's very popular, and at my sneak he was going for about 10 bucks, and I know on Friday I'll be able to get him for hopefully like 3 or 4, so I'm just waiting until I can pick him up. Now the rest of the deck is pretty standard. There's no themed spells or traps for Battlin Boxers yet, so we're going to go with 3 MSTs, 2 Forbidden Lance. They're in my gift keys currently, so I just didn't grab them out of there. I just have them proxied right now. 1 ROTA, 1 Mind Control. I like Mind Control in any deck that plays nothing but level 4s, because a majority of what your opponent's going to set or normal summon against you is going to be level 4, and there are situations where you want to grab your opponent's monster. For example, one of the biggest enemies of Leadblow is Big Eye. If they steal your Big Eye, it really sucks. So it's really nice being able to mind control your opponent's Big Eye, maybe steal one of their monsters or take one of your monsters back. There's a lot of decent monsters to target with mind control, and I am liking it at 1. It also opens up the field to attack for game in more situations than you would think. Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, double Bottomless, double Compulse, double Fiendish. You do need it to be able to stop monster effects. Like I said, Big Eye will fuck your day up if they take your Leadblow. 2 Deep Prison. You can get away with 1 Mirror Force, but I'm currently running 2. You also need 2 Torrential Tributes. I only had 1 extra, and my other one's in my Gishki deck, so that one proxied. 1 Solemn Warning, and 1 Solemn Judgment. So again, this is all pretty standard. Now, what some people will do is they'll put in 2 copies of Safe Zone, and that'll save you from most of the stuff that can get rid of your Leadblow. It turns your Leadblow literally into something that's nearly unkillable. Because even if they destroy the back row, you can protect it with its own effect. It saves it from Compulse, from Deep Prison, from Big Eye, things that would normally be huge threats. So I was looking for a couple of them, and I did pick one up on Saturday, but I ended up selling it because people are asking a lot, or paying a lot for them. So the money got the best of me there. I don't have my safe zones anymore. So that's the main deck. It's pretty straightforward. Battlin Boxers. I'll run through it real quick. Take a quick peek. I'll put the list in the description below. Now I want to talk about a couple things. Now the first, we'll go back to Lead Yoke, or Lead Yoke, whatever you want to call him, because he's the most important card of the deck. He does have weaknesses, and you got to think about your matchups. Against, Evil Swarms, you're going to have a pretty good matchup, because they don't have a real answer for Lead Yoke. You're going to be able to attack over that Ophion. It's not going to cock block you, and even if they're able to attack over it once, you're going to come back and be able to attack over them the next turn. So you have a really good Evil Swarm matchup. Now what you don't have a good matchup against is Prophecy, because Spellbook of Fate is a thing, and what they can do is they can just remove your Lead Yoke. This is why you need to run at least 2 Fiendish Chains. I keep on saying Fiendish Chains. What I mean to say is Forbidden Lance. You need to run at least 2 Forbidden Lance, maybe even 3 if you have them. Keep that in mind, because Spellbook of Fate will fuck you up. Now in E-Dragons, you have a decent matchup, except for Big Eye. Big Eye will take your Lead Yoke, and you don't really have very many answers for Lead Yoke yourself. So you do run the Compulses and the Deep Prisons, so you can get around it, but Lead Yoke is a really imposing monster that people are going to have a big problem, and they'll misplay trying to get around him. So keep that in mind and use that to your advantage. Now let's talk about resolving chains with Lead Yoke. Let's pretend we have a Lead Yoke with a Battlin Boxer Glassjaw and a Headgear attached with a Switchitter in the graveyard. Now, a lot of people are going to try to tell you that if you special summon your Lead Yoke and they respond with a let me find a good respond card. They respond with a Bottomless. We'll get this out for later. And they respond with their Bottomless. What they're going to say is that when you go to negate the destruction of your lead yoke and send Glassjaw, they're going to say that because lead yoke is actually gaining 800 attack, your Glassjaw misses its timing. That's not true. They're two separate chains that are formed here. So we'll play this out exactly how it would go. Your opponent sees that you special summoned your lead yoke. There it is. And they chain Bottomless Trap Pull. This is chain link 1. They ask if I have a response. I don't. So what happens is that the chain resolves, Bottomless Trap Pull attempts to destroy lead yoke, and you remove Glassjaw. This is now how the field looks, and now this is resolved. Now, in a separate chain, 2 effects are applied. They're happening at the exact same time, and they're not happening during this chain. This is why Glassjaw does not miss the timing. Because the effect of gaining 800 attack and his retrieval effect activate at the same time. And now how do you build that chain? If this is a little bit over your head, chain building and things like that, there are videos that can help you understand it. I believe Dragon Duelist Girl put out a pretty decent one that tells you how chains are formed and how they resolve. But what you need to know is that the 800 attack gain is mandatory. Therefore, it goes on the chain first. And the retrieval is not, so it goes on the chain second. Mandatory will always go on the chain first. So how this resolves is now you get back your monster from the graveyard, and then your lead yoke gains 800 attack. Now, how can your opponent make you miss the timing with lead yoke? Well, let's go over that, because that's another thing that they'll be able to do that you won't have an answer for. We'll say you get out that lead yoke, you get out a good card that they could have chained. So, in response to your lead yoke being summoned, they flip over Fiendish Chain. They ask if you have a response, you say no, and then they flip over their Bottomless Trap Pull. Now, how does this resolve? Well, the first thing that happens is that as this is chain link 1, and this is now chain link 2. At chain link 2, you'll remove your Glassjaw to avoid destruction. Now, your Glassjaw is not going to be the last thing that happens on this chain. It's going to be Fiendish Chain resolving. Therefore, Glassjaw will miss his timing. So, you are protected from the destruction, and then Fiendish Chain comes through, and what Fiendish Chain will do is it'll still apply to your lead yoke. It won't be destroyed by Bottomless or anything, but it will stop that 800 attack gain. So let's go through that one more time. We special summon our lead yoke. They chain Fiendish Chain, ask if we have a response. We say no. They then do their Bottomless Trap Pull. So we remove to avoid destruction. Now Fiendish Chain is applied, and it stops us from getting the 800. And since Glassjaw was destroyed, and it was not the last thing, or was sent to the graveyard, and it was not the last thing to happen, you don't get its effect. So they have effectively shut down your lead yoke from attacking, and made it to where you cannot retrieve your Switchitter, and that will happen. People will know how to keep the loop from going on and things like that. Now, right off the bat, are people going to be doing this? No, but you need to know this as the player, so people can't rule shark you and say, oh, by the way, you don't get your search because the 800 attack gain's the last thing that happens, and you miss the timing, and blah, blah, blah. That's not true. One last thing to talk about, and I know this is a long video, but I wanted to kind of get in depth with some of these rulings. If I go Lavaval Chain and detach Glassjaw, and then you can't go remove Glassjaw and then get back Switchitter, and then send a monster to the graveyard. The last thing that's happening is either the monster being put on the top or being sent to the graveyard. Pretty much know that any time you're removing as a cost to activate an effect, that means it's not going to work because you're going to miss the timing. But, like lead yoke, you're not paying a cost to activate an effect. You're detaching to avoid destruction, and it's just different. It's a continuous effect, and it just resolves differently. So for most of the time, when you detach your Glassjaw, it will miss the timing. But in the specific case of lead yoke and a few other choice cards, you do not miss the timing if the destruction happens on chain link 1. If it's chain link 2 or higher, you will miss the timing with your Glassjaw and won't get the retrieval. but you will always get the mandatory 800 attack, which starts in the next chain. So just keep that in mind. I know it's a little confusing because chains and resolutions and missing the timing and things like this, these are all, and this is not to brag because I'm not the best with these things either, this is all kind of upper level Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, a lot of people don't understand these things, but the ones that do, they're the ones that are winning events because they can manipulate their chains to where their stuff can't be bottomless. They're manipulating their chains, and when I say manipulate, I don't mean in a bad way. They know how to build chains to where you can't respond to certain effects, and they know how to make your stuff miss the timing. This is what the upper echelon of Yu-Gi-Oh! Looks like, and you have to be able to exist in that format where they're going to be able to rule shark you, and you have to have your answer for them. If they say, why does Glassjaw get its effect, you need to be able to tell them, because, and this is why, and then tell them exactly what I told you. So, if you guys have any questions about the deck, just let me know. Sorry this is a long video, but I had a lot to talk about, and good luck with your Battlin box.